Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
Analysts are calling it the worst day ever statistically for the stock market, though there is some gain to be found among the pain. Doc?
You probably think you know how to wash your hands. 20 seconds, right? I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. Coming up, I'll show you the parts that you might be overlooking.
Okay, Doc, and Michigan is front and center in the race for president as the two top contenders for the Democratic nomination blitz the state. Decision 2020 tops our news here at 6. A busy day for both former VP Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders.
Now, about 13 hours from the polls opening at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, with voters getting a chance to weigh in on not only that race, but some important millages, local races, and, of course, the presidential picture.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Joe Biden in a moment. He's been covering a lot of ground today in Michigan. Bernie Sanders has been here for a few days. He rolled in here Friday night and has been pulling out all the stops.
Mara McDonald live at Metro Airport, and that's where the senator held an invite-only discussion on the coronavirus. And Mara, Sanders is running here like he understands he has everything to lose.
Well, Devin, that's right. And quite frankly, he does. If he doesn't win Michigan tomorrow, I don't see a clear path forward for him. He made a pit stop here at Metro to do yet another, media roundtable on top of all the rest of the town halls that he's done. Take a look.
To suggest to people that when you are sick, you go to work might be the stupidest advice ever made by a president of the United States. And on it goes.
On top of all his campaign stops, Sanders did an invite-only roundtable on the coronavirus late today. His campaign rolled into Michigan Friday, canceling a planned rally in Mississippi, and has thrown everything they have at pulling out a win here.
Establish Medicare for all, to fight for a living wage, to demand humanity at our border. That is what this movement is all about.
Bringing in campaign surrogates like Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez to a rally at the University of Michigan on Sunday. He started off Friday in downtown Detroit, spent Saturday hustling across the state. Our polling is showing Sanders having real problems with any voter over 50, as well as African-American voters. He won here in 16, but the dynamic this time around is different. He will need to juice the student vote and perform flawlessly in West Michigan and outstate to make up for deficiencies in other categories.
Back here live, speaking of juicing that student vote, the Sanders Get Out the Vote operation is on the campuses of the University of Michigan today, as well as Michigan State. We're live at Detroit Metropolitan Airport. Devin, Kimberly, back to you.
All right, Mara, the young vote did not get out like he needed to on Super Tuesday. We'll see what happens here tomorrow. Meanwhile, Joe Biden going to be making a campaign stop in less than an hour now at Renaissance High School in Detroit.
Earlier today, the former vice president made stops in Grand Rapids and Flint, where he says Michigan plays an important part in the race for president.
Michigan is an important contest, not just for the Democratic primary, because the outcome of Michigan in November may determine who the next president of the United States is going to be.
And our Steve Garagiola got a chance to speak one-on-one with Joe Biden. We're putting that conversation on our website. Just go to clickondetroit.com.
But before you head to the polls, there are some things you need to know.
Our consumer investigator, Hank Winchester, is here. Hank, as we mentioned, tomorrow isn't just about the presidential election.
It's not. It's about more than Biden, Sanders, and Trump. As you will see, we've been getting a lot of questions too about where to vote and how to vote. So here's what you need to know for tomorrow. Polls are open tomorrow at 7 a.m. They will remain open until 8 p.m. Unfortunately, you've run out of time if you're looking for an absentee ballot to be sent to your home, obviously. So where should you vote? Well, you can look up all that precinct information. All you have to do is go to the Secretary of State's website. If you have not registered, you can still do it tomorrow. You visit your local clerk's office. You have to bring some documentation with your name and current address. So that's your driver's license, maybe a utility bill, a paycheck, or a bank statement. You have to be at least 18 years old, a U.S. citizen, and a resident of your city or township for the last 30 days. Now, besides the presidential candidates, there are other things on the ballot tomorrow, important issues. Here's just a few. Voters in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb, they're going to be voting on whether to renew the millage for the Detroit Institute of Arts. In Ecorse and Clinton Township, they're voting on allowing marijuana facilities in those communities. And in Washtenaw County, they will vote to renew the community college millage. So what do you need to do in order to vote? Well, you need a photo ID like your license or a passport. You don't need your voter registration card as long as you go to the right location. We have all the information for you right on our website at clickondetroit.com. Now, if you have any problems tomorrow voting, If you encounter issues, if you notice a problem, we want to hear from you. You can call me at 313-298-WDIV, email me at helpmehank@WDIV.com, or you can hit me up on Facebook. We're going to be here throughout the day, and if you have any issues, we want to know about it. Kimberly, over to you.
Okay, Hank, thank you. And right now at clickondetroit.com, you can get a look at a sample primary ballot before you vote. Be sure to check back tomorrow night. As Hank said, we'll have updates on results as they come in.
The first real test of our new, whatever reason, absentee ballot system too, which we'll also be watching with great interest tomorrow. Today was another great, just on top of yesterday. Really nice.
It makes you think that spring is kind of around the corner, dare I say. Hi, Ben.
Yeah, hi, guys. This would have been a good day to have elections because tomorrow weather may be impacting parts of the day, and we'll discuss that in a second. 4 Live radar, though, shows that the showers are starting to move in. This stuff is light right now, but there's a big push of moisture just starting to make its way in from the western part of Indiana and even the southwest corner of Michigan. That's likely going to be here for just about everybody at about 8 p.m. tonight. It's not going to amount to much. It's going to be generally a quarter inch or less by the time this is all wrapped up tomorrow, but temperatures still in the mid-50s through midnight tonight. Things do get a little different tomorrow. We'll talk about that, look at your primary forecast. But if you want to make a last-minute decision on when to vote, the Local Forecasters app can help you with that. Follow the radar and look at hour-by-hour temperatures. Just search WDIV in your favorite app store. Devin?
Ben, this was the most painful day for the stock market since 2008. The Dow closing down more than 2,000 points, a loss of about 7.8%. Local company stocks took a hard hit too. Ford finishing under $6 a share. GM losing $4 a share. Lazy Boy losing $1.43. Despite the numbers, not a lot of panic among the experts. Our business editor Rod Maloney live now with a look at the gain that is happening somewhere inside the pain. Rod?
Devin, I call it complicated chaos because for all of the machinations on Wall Street, it really just comes down to what happens here in your life. And this is how this can help. Market chaos is always unnerving, and when you consider Marathon oil stocks down roughly 50% this year, it's a signal things could get tough in the overall economy before too long. But there is the flip side. The barrel price of oil is down to just $31, which inflation adjusted is lower than we were paying in the 1980s. What this means is we're likely to soon see, if we haven't already, gasoline selling under $2 a gallon, which means getting around is easier on your pocketbook.
One thing we're all looking forward to drop in gas prices.
We drive probably a couple hundred miles a day.
Especially working families.
So the gas prices are going to help huge.
U.S. Treasuries are where investors go for safety, and today the 10-year fell to a 0.542, jumping up a bit after hitting an all-time low. Once again, this is where today's chaos matters to you, and that the 10-year is the basis for mortgage interest rates. And if you're thinking about buying a new home or refinancing your mortgage, today is the day. The interest rate on a 30-year fixed is 3.25 or thereabouts. The rate on a 15-year fixed is 2.80. Yes, the amount down, credit score, and financing firm will make a difference in the rate you receive, but it's pretty much now or never the best environment you'll ever find to buy or refinance. And of course, there are a lot of people with 401ks, 529s that are very worried about their losses. And it's a good reminder about diversification and making sure you're checking what you're invested in. And you may want to go back and look at what you're invested in and then sort of try and smooth out the losses. But staying patient is probably the key with all of this. Back to you.
That's really the tricky part here, Rod, for the average investor to look at all this carnage and sit tight.
Well, yeah, and it's a situation where you have to remember this is a 10-year bull that we're in, okay? Since the downturn, the market's been nothing but up. At some point, it needs to correct, and that's where we are. And for all of the down we had today, it's still not considered a traditional bear market. There could be more downside before we see up. So you have to make sure you're diversified, and you want to make sure that if you're a long-term investor, you think long-term.
Exactly right. All right, Rod.
Okay, now to the latest in the coronavirus crisis. The entire country of Italy is under lockdown. The travel restrictions will take effect tomorrow and will likely last until April. Closer to home, Ohio's governor confirmed his state now has 3 confirmed cases of the virus in the Cleveland area. The nationwide total is approaching 600. That's double since Friday. Here in Michigan, still no confirmed cases. Today, the tests of 11 more people came back negative, with 24 new tests now pending. As a precaution, Michigan State University is making contingency plans in case it has to do online classes. We're expecting to hear from President Trump soon at the coronavirus task force briefing. That is set for 6:30 p.m.
Health experts agree one of the most helpful things we can all do right now is wash our hands more often.
But are you or your kids washing your hands properly? Dr. Frank McGeorge joins us with the steps you might be overlooking. Doc?
Now, hopefully, you've been washing your hands all your life, so you probably think you're pretty good at it. 20 seconds is the recommended time for proper hand washing. The issue is, even if you spend 20 seconds, many people just keep doing the same thing over and over, and they miss important parts of their hand. Pay special attention to areas that are more contaminated. That means cleaning the back of your hand and fingers. That's what gets contaminated when you rub your nose, for example. Also, pay special attention to your thumbs and fingertips. Obviously, that's what you're picking stuff up with. And the spaces between your fingers, well, that needs to be cleaned. And finally, your palms, because that's where your sweat glands are and they need to be cleaned. Now, after you've done all that and gone to all that trouble, don't blow it at the last seconds. Use your paper towel to turn your faucets off and open any doors in a public area. Be thorough and be safe. Back to you.
Tips. All right, Doc. Things were a bit more calm today as Art Van Furniture reopened for going out of business sales. Customers did line up outside Art Van locations across Metro Detroit, including Canton, Novi, and Southfield. It comes after stores were closed early Saturday because the large crowds were causing problems at some stores. Company is now officially filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Due to overwhelming demand, pickup hours at the Warren Distribution Center have been limited. Those hours are Monday through Sunday, 11 a.m. till 5 p.m.
Detroit police are looking for two men suspected of robbing a store on Detroit's east side. It happened January 31st on Van Dyke and Outer Drive. You can see one man armed with a handgun forces himself through the front door. A second man joined him inside the store and forced two employees into a manager's office. Investigators say they got away with an unknown amount of cash. Call Detroit Police if you have any information.
All right, time for a check of the national stories we've got coming up at 6:30 on NBC Nightly News.
Lester Holt joins us live from New York with a preview. Lester, good evening.
Hi, good to see both of you. A lot of major developments going on the coronavirus. That ship that was wandering at sea is now docking, but quite an ordeal ahead for folks there. We'll have all that. Also, Dr. John Torres will join us to talk about what that time is, that magic time from you're exposed to the virus to the time you begin to show symptoms. Important information. We'll have it all when we see you tonight on Nightly News.
Okay, we'll be looking forward to those stories and more, and we'll see you then, Lester. Thank you.
All right, still to come here on Local 4 News at 6. Ahead for us, the passing of a pioneer in the sporting goods world, whose first name you probably know if you lived around here for any time at all.
Plus, we don't often see major construction projects that reduce the number of lanes on a heavily traveled road, and that's got some Detroiters concerned. That's next here at 6.